Hey everyone, David Guzy here again. In today's video, we are going to be looking at commercial real estate return metrics. Before I get into the video, my firm is the Guzy Group. We are real estate underwriting experts. We've worked on any asset class you can imagine: self-storage, multifamily, hospitality, MHP, small bay, you name it, we've done it. We do funds, we do syndications. So if you're interested in our underwriting services, feel free to reach out to us, theguzygroup.com. With that said, let's get started. So when you think about commercial real estate, you're going to analyze a deal and you're going to say, what is a good deal? There's three metrics you really want to look at. There's IRR, there's cash on cash returns, and then there's equity multiple. Let's start with IRR. So IRR, internal rate of return, there's a real technical definition for it. It's when you discount cash flows of an investment, the discount rate that sets the NPV equal to zero is your IRR. However, if you tell that to an investor, anybody, a GP, they're going to fire you on the spot because that makes absolutely no sense to the average person. So the better way to describe IRR is if you look at these cash flows, this is a typical real estate deal. You're going to have your investment. In this case, it's $100,000. And then every year you have some distributions. Year one, you have $5,000. So that's a 5% gain, 5% return for that year. Year two, you have $8,000. So that's an 8% return for that year. 8,000 divided by 100,000. Year three, you have $11,000 in distributions. That's an 11,000 returning that year, and so on and so on. If someone were to ask you, okay, I could see you make 5% in year one, 8% in year two, 11% in year three, but what if you take an average of these? What is the average return across that investment annualized? That's the IRR. So it's going to be the average yearly return across the investment. That's the best way to describe it. Now, like we do in all of the other videos, let's actually show how it's calculated. So if we go over here, we're going to dig in right now how this is actually calculated. So we're looking at an example of a deal right here. Here's the dates on a month-by-month basis starting January 2024, going all the way to December 2028. That's going to be a 5-year hold. Here's the distributions. So you can see that this deal starts off by not distributing too much cash flow. But then as we lease up in this deal, we start to distribute cash flow and we have a big exit at the end. And last but not least, we have the investment, which we call equity draws. We give about $1.68 million in equity investment in January. And then we have another one that's for CapEx here, $250,000 in May 2028. At the end of the day, you want to add these, you want to sum these up on a month-by-month basis. So you can see the distributions plus the equity draws, and the equity draws are negative because it's negative cash flow. These are going to give you your total cash flows right over here. So starting out, how do you calculate the IRR? In Excel or in Google Sheets, when you calculate it, you do not want to use the IRR equation. That's a big no-no right there. That's going to give you very misguided numbers. You want to use XIRR. And why do you want to use XIRR? XIRR takes into account the exact date that these distributions are taking place. So it's going to look and say, this 1.3 thousand was in June 2026. This 2.7 thousand was in July 2026. XIRR takes into account this row number 3, these dates. So you always want to use XIRR. So what you're going to do is first put an array of the cash flow amounts. So we're going to do over here, and remember, these are the total cash flows, comma, the cash flow dates, comma, and then there's a rate guess. I don't know why they do it. I throw in some random number, 0.3. That's going to be at 22.61. So that's how you calculate the IRR in Excel or in Google Sheets. Always use XIRR. Something I want to say about IRR, okay? Because sometimes when I first started in real estate, I didn't know what a good return was considered. One time I got a 150% IRR. It was a mistake that I made in the calculations. And if I would have known what a realistic range of IRRs would, I would have recognized right away that was a mistake, but I did not. So I want to go over that with you. So in real estate, if you look at IRR, there's going to be three categories for real estate. These light gray ones, you can see these light gray. These are all real estate investments. Core investments, they're on the more safe end, the more risk-free ends of real estate. These are going to be tenants that might be the U.S. Post Office or a really large chain that they're going to pay their bills on time and never go bankrupt. So you're going to get less risk, but a lot less reward. That's 6 to 12%. Then you have value add investments right here. These are where you buy a property, you might raise rents. So there's some risk in that. So you're going to get a little bit more reward. That's 10 to 15% IRR. And then last but not least, you have those opportunistic investments. These might be these are the investments that you buy the real estate and to do maybe a lot of CapEx. You want to expand. It takes a lot of time. There's a lot of risk, but you get a lot more reward. So in this case, you're going to see a 15 to 20% IRR. So when I go back to this deal and you see a 22% IRR, that's a very good deal. And that's what I was expecting because this more is a opportunistic investment. Just to compare to other non-real estate investments, over the past 10 years, the S&P 500 has been 12 to 14% every year for IRR. And CD rates, they've been changing quite a bit right now. But, you could get one for about 4.25, 4.5. The lowest you'll see is 4%. So just wanted to give that some comparison. And I don't want to go too off tangent, but just remember in real estate, you do have a higher return, more IRR, but that money is not liquid. You can't touch it. And then also remember in real estate, you get these awesome depreciation effects. I invest every year in real estate just so I get the depreciation. It reduces my taxable income. That's something that these two categories don't offer, but I don't want to digress too far. So going back, we covered IRR. We talked about what it is, how to explain it, and how to calculate it. Next is the cash on cash returns. So let me go over here. Cash on cash. I'm bringing this graph up again. So this is a real estate deal. Investment, you have $100,000 investment. Year one, you have $5,000. What's your cash on cash return? All it is that year, they're going to ask you, what's your year one cash on cash? So your year one is the distributions, $5,000 divided by your investment, $100,000. So that's 5%. Someone says, what's your year two cash on cash? That's going to be $8,000 distribution. So $8,000 divided by 100,000. So 8%. What's your year three cash on cash? Well, right here it's 11%. Year four, what's your cash on cash? 13,000 divided by 100,000, 13% cash on cash. And then year five, we have this, it could be a refi, it could be a sale, whatever you want it to be. We have all this cash, 230,000. What's your year five cash on cash? 230%. It's a year by year by year analysis. And let's look at how to find those numbers in Excel. So what we're going to do here, we're going to write, and I pre-did a lot of this. Let me see what I put here. Because I didn't save. So over here, we're going to do distributions. Distributions. We're going to say perfect. Let me just copy directly from here. Distributions, equity draws, then we'll do cash on cash. Okay, so what we want to do is first, like we did over here on a year by year basis, we had each distribution. We want to do that over here too. So equals sum ifs. Remember, we're looking at just the distributions. Remember, we're doing this year by year. So I wrote some logic over here. But bottom line is if this month is in 2024, it shows 2024. The month is in 2026, it shows 2026. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the year, and I'm going to do the criteria. Press enter. Let me lock those in place. Boom. Drag it down. And let me double check my work. If I add these all together, 4.718 million, add all the distributions together, 4.718 million. We're all good there. So the first step, let me go back to this graph. You got to get these on a year by year basis. Now I oversimplified it in this graph. What you want to do for the equity draws, you're going to do the exact same thing year by year. So you want to sum the range, sum the equity, the year, and then do this. And I'm going to go back and add my little dollar signs. And there you go. And let me double check my work. Notice these are negative numbers. I want to point that out. You add these together, that's 1.9 million in an investment. Let me add this together, 1.9 million. Remember, we get that 250 over here, which is showing right here. Okay, so now cash on cash. What you want to do is, remember, it's every single year. So your question is, what is cash on cash for 2024? What's it for 2025? What's it for 2026? So what you want to do is you want to do this, your distributions, divided by the sum of all your equity draws in that up to that point in time. And I'll show you what that means in a second. Let me do this. D13. There we go. So let me drag it line by line so it makes sense. So first year, for 2024, which are cash on cash, well, there's no distributions. So it's 0 divided by 1.6 million. Remember, this is a negative, so we want to cancel that negative out. So there we go. So it's 0. 2025. What's your cash on cash for 2025? Well, there's 0 in distribution, so there's going to be 0 in cash on cash. Okay, 2026. What is your cash on cash? Well, it's going to be $51,000 divided by all equity distributions that got you to that point. And that's where this sum equation comes in. So far, to get you to that point, it's 1.6 million. So 51,000 divided by 1.6 million, that's your cash on cash. 2027, what's your cash on cash? It says $244,000 divided by all the equity distributions that got you to this point. Sorry, not distributions, equity investments that got you to this point. So when I pull this down, you can see it's this divided by all of these. And last but not least, 2028, what is your cash on cash? Well, it's going to be this 4.4 million divided by all these equity investments over that period. And keep in mind, it's that starting one plus that other equity investment that occurred in 2028. I see a lot of mistakes happen here. You got to make sure you do it like this. If you're taking your cash on cash for 2026, you got to include all the investments that happened up until 2026. Not this one, didn't happen yet, but the ones before it. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's cash on cash. Last but not least, equity multiple. Very easy. All you're doing is looking at your distributions every year, adding them all up. If you add these all up, this, you get 267,000 divided by your original investment, your 100,000, you get a 2.67 equity multiple. And that's giving you a multiple of how many times you're going to see your money grow. So an equity so if I invest $100,000 and there's an equity multiple of 1 times $100,000 means I'm getting $100,000 back. That's not good. I gave them $100,000, I get $100,000 back. I made no money. But an equity multiple of 2 would mean I give $100,000 and now I'm getting $200,000 back. So I doubled my money. So that's how it works. Keep in mind, an equity multiple of 1 means you're just getting your money back. Anything less than 1, like 0.5, means you're actually not getting all your money back. You're losing money. So how do we calculate that? It's really simple. You're just going to sum all your distributions, and you're going to divide it by your equity investments. And keep in mind, these are negative, so I'm going to cancel that out. And that's a 2.44. And you don't have to pull from this table. You could just say your distributions, do this. We'll call these your total distributions. We'll call these your total equity draws. If I divide this divided by this, keep in mind I'll have to fix the negative. So there you go. That means in this deal, we are going to contribute 1.9 million. And if you do this times the equity multiple, that negative, this is going to match right here. So just to recap, in real estate, when you're analyzing a deal, there's 3 metrics that every investor is always going to ask you. They're going to say, what's the IRR, what's the cash on cash, and what's the equity multiple? And now you know how to calculate them in Excel and Google Sheets as well. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Once again, theguzygroup.com, david.guzy@theguzygroup.com. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next video.